Good morning, Jason. How you doing? You well?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for being here. Jason Williams, you're presenting a balcony and container garden at the Chelsea Flower Show this year. Fantastic feat and great recognition of the work that you've managed to pull together over the last couple of years. There's going to be a few people though, Jason, who are not quite sure what that work looks like. I know you're an urban garden expert, right? But tell us some more, please.
Expert. I'm still learning. But basically, I started off my my balcony garden in March in 2020, and I just moved into the property, and I have quite a nice balcony space. And then we went into lockdown, and we didn't have much to do during lockdown. Garden centres were still open. And I just remember buying one marigold, and then all of a sudden, my whole garden grew and expanded. And I really began to appreciate my space, and it got me thinking about how I could use it better.
Those flocking to the Chelsea Flower Show will get to see the Cirrus Garden, right? Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
I know that was inspired from your 2 years work on the 18th floor of your balcony. You called it the Cloud Garden, is that right? Is it because it was up there?
Yeah, and so with my original Cloud Garden, what sometimes happens is, especially early morning, I can go out into the balcony and I'll just be in the clouds. The fog or mist it is just really prevalent on some mornings, and it kind of gave me the name, the Cloud Garden. And with the Cirrus Garden, cirrus are actually the highest type of clouds in our atmosphere, so it kind of made sense in my mind to have another cloud variant, I should say, for the Cirrus Garden.
So you went from one marigold. What did you buy next? And what was shaping? Because obviously you're mentioning being in the clouds, and I'm guessing that's a huge influence on everything that's kind of shaped over the last couple of years. So what was next after the marigold? How did you make it look like a cloud?
So I had marigolds, and then I kind of moved into trying to grow my own salads and veg. And what I wanted to try to achieve was some form of self-sustainability and grow my own food. But what I slowly learned is that my own balcony has got its complete own microclimate and ecosystem. And what the normal gardening YouTube channels or garden gurus teach you to do is very much based on ground level gardening. And so if I look at my garden, for example, on a warm day, my garden is normally 10 to 15 degrees warmer than it is on ground level. And so that doesn't sound like much, but when you're trying to grow salads and on the ground level, it's 20 degrees, on my garden it's 35. So a lot of my salads and leafy greens, they kept bolting and going to seed and flowering instead of getting bigger for me to harvest. And so I had to slowly learn that actually what everyone else is doing is not what I can do. And then I have had to kind of find my own way around it. And that's kind of what my Cloud Garden social media is all about, showing people we can still do what everyone else is doing, but we might need to do it different. For example, I might need to start some of my food or some of my crops 2 months earlier than other people, just to allow the plants time to grow before the heat hits.
Interesting. What did you do before, Jason? You sounds like you've gone quite in detail and quite in depth. Have you always been that type of person? I assume you haven't always been an urban garden expert.
No, I haven't. And so before that, I was in hospitality. So I was a bar general manager, and I think that was one of the things that I had to come to terms with in lockdown. You're used to working 50, 60-hour weeks, especially in hospitality. It's very rare that you even get weekends off. That's normally the time that you are working. And I think, like most people, there was a lot of reflection over lockdown and realizing how much of your life that you're missing. And then it's kind of a time to reassess priorities. Like, do I want to have a social life? Do I want to do things? and meet people and have fun and actually see my friends, and do something that I know helps people. And I kind of had to make some choices there, and luckily things have kind of worked out for me.
What does it feel like to have had your work, your art, how you've chosen to express yourself during that time, received in such a positive way over the last few years? How does that feel?
It's really humbling, if I'm honest with you. So part of my social media is about my balcony garden, but a lot of it is me discussing my mental health. And so I don't shy away from the fact that I do have to kind of deal with anxiety and depression. And it was it was a really tough moment putting my first kind of mental health video out there. But what is great is I've managed to build a community. And if you look at all of my social media platforms, there's a really high level of engagement, and I've managed to find like-minded people. And it's kind of a place where I might share how I feel, and other people will comment and relate. And sometimes I look to the messages from people within my community to kind of boost me up again, because I sometimes when you, especially with anxiety, it kind of cuts you off and makes you feel so alone. And so sometimes I can go back and read some comments on some of my videos, and it kind of clicks in my mind, oh, look, you're not the only person. This person's dealing with it too. And equally so, there are people who can't articulate how they feel and look to some of my videos, and they are grateful that I've been able to do it for them. And so it's kind of really humbling that actually my work is out there helping other people, because that's essentially what my whole platform is about, is helping other people. But in turn, it does actually help me myself. So I'm very grateful to be in the position that I'm in.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, I guess my next question was going to be on what do you hope people get from visiting and then, you know, to experiencing, taking in your show this year. How do you hope your work will inspire those who are less green-fingered, and even those who have a kind of passing or, you know, passive interest in gardening?
So the RHS is, I'm really grateful to them for taking the risk on my garden. And I say risk, but I've been very, very clear from the very beginning when I designed the garden and I submitted my application that the whole idea about my garden was I am attempting to create a beautiful show garden, but it must be accessible. And the plants that I'm using are plants that everybody can go and find in their local nurseries. Because I think, especially when it comes to show gardens and flower shows, for people like myself and other people who live in urban cities and, you know, urban environments, a lot of what we see sometimes is not achievable. And what I've had to learn is actually flower shows and show gardens are pieces of art. And I think from an outside perspective, if you weren't aware, you would just see these show gardens and think, well, that's just art, I can't replicate that. So what I'm trying to do is create art, but also practicality and accessibility. And if anybody says that, you know, my garden is impractical and can't be done, well, actually, the whole garden is based off my cloud garden, of which I've worked on for 2 years. So there's nothing on that garden at Chelsea that cannot be done on the 18th floor, because I've already done it. So yeah, I think that's one of the important takeaways from that garden, is that I want people to be able to come see the garden and be able to look through the planting list that I'll provide people, and they can take those plants, get them from their local nurseries, and be able to implement them on their own gardens, and it will work.
Young black man presenting at the RHS Chelsea Flower Show. It's a few of you, you know. Big up Tayshan,
Yes.
Derek. You know, there's a few of you, right? I wondered what your thoughts were on actually, you know, being, he's still a unicorn. in a vast space. And I wonder what your thoughts were on, how the Royal Horticultural Society can better engage with the Black community, kind of close, or tackle the dearth of engagement, involvement. There seems to be a willing on their part to do so, right? And it's a great step in the right direction to see you guys involved this year. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think this year they've made an exceptional effort actually to reach out and find designers who represent everyday people. And I think one of the things that has really changed the landscape, so to say, is lockdown, and how many lockdown gardeners there have been. And I think there's been, across gardening as a whole, I think there's been a realization that actually people do enjoy gardening, but a lot of us are container gardeners. And so by bringing in people like myself, Tashawn, and they are bringing people into the fold. But I think, as with everything, it starts with representation. And I think that having people in the space will help people to feel that they can achieve the same. And I made a YouTube video about the Cirrus Garden and being selected for Chelsea. And one of the things that I do talk about is the fact that I am there, and the whole point is accessibility. And I think that was one of the real reasons why my garden was selected, is because it's about everybody being able to grow. So I think they are making some really great steps by selecting people to represent more people. But I'm hoping that me being there will be enough to make other people want to try as well.
On your website, I quote, "I have turned Cloud Gardener UK into a brand, and my mission is to continue to recruit more urban container gardeners and show people how to start a balcony garden." You've been mightily successful over a short period of time. What does success, future success, look like in your mind's eye?
I think having the platform of being at Chelsea is going to really help me to achieve that mission. I mean, I've been so clear on my YouTube channel and everything that I'm on, all my platforms. The core of everything that I do is about helping other people and reaching others. For me, gardening is not just about having some pretty flowers and a beautiful garden. For me, that's my garden is a place where I go to reflect, and helps me with my anxiety and my mental health. So my goal in helping people to do more gardening is to try and help people with their mental health. So I hope that I can use the Chelsea show as a springboard to show people what can be done and to get more green spaces in our cities.
The Chelsea Flower Show tickets are on sale now for those who want to attend and get down and support Jason. You're originally from Manchester, right, Jason? Is that right?
Actually, from Croydon.
From Croydon?
Yes, I am.
So you're based in Manchester?
I'm based in Manchester, but I'm from Croydon.
So
I was born in Mayday Hospital.
You got out of there.
I still call it Mayday Hospital. I don't call it anything else.
So don't worry. I big up all the Croydon people. Love it. Now, I'm glad to see the elevation. I'm glad to see you striving, keep going up. I nearly ended this interview without asking the obvious question. What's your favourite flower, Jason?
I think it's going to have to be marigold. They're marigolds, but there are different varieties of marigolds. They are fun, I promise.
All right, no worries. Chelsea Flower Show, May 24th to the 28th. Looking forward to seeing your work down there, sir. And may there be many, many more Chelsea Flower Shows to come. Is there anything else you want to leave our viewers, listeners with before we wrap up?
I would just say, at times you might not believe in yourself, but don't give up. Keep pushing, and you will make it.